of Tom, I think about a night when the earth smelled of summer, and the sky was streaked with white, and the soft mist of England was sleeping on a hill. I remember this, and I always silent hill, looking on the same blue sea, and I know Tom and I are a part of them all, and they're all a part of Tom and
Mother, I thought you and the king were angry with each other.
we were, Lewis.
Now he's dying. Does that make you better friends?
I suppose so, Lewis. We can't hurt each other anymore.
I didn't know he hurt you.
When two people are as different as we are, they are almost bound to hurt each other.
He always frightened me.
I wish you had known him better, Lewis. You could have been great friends. In some ways, he was just as young as you.
Was he as good a king as he could have been?
Lewis, I don't think any king is as good a king as he could be. But this one tried. He tried very hard.
You really like him, don't you, Mother?
I like him very much. Very much indeed. We can go in now, Lewis. Your Majesty, we have had a little misunderstanding. I was describing snow, and they refused to believe that there was such a thing.
Snow?
Snow?
Oh, yes, from mountain top.
From the sky.
From sky to mountain top. I have see pictures. Switzerland.
That's right, Your Majesty.
Land all white with snow. Who does not believe this?
Well, after all, they have never seen it, and...
Never see. If they will know only what they see, why do we have schoolroom? Teacher must teach, not waste time instructing children in silly English song, Home Sweet Home, to remind me of breaking promises that I never made, etc., etc., etc.
Your Majesty, you did promise me a house. A brick residence adjoining the royal palace. Those were your words in your letter.
I do not remember such words.
I remember them.
I will do remembering. Who is king? I remind you. So you remember that. I do not know of any promises. I do not know anything but that you are my servant.
Oh, no, Your Majesty.
What? I say you are my servant.
No, Your Majesty, that is not true. I am most certainly not your servant.
I would say your mother has bad manners. You would you? Well, I'd say your father has no manners at all.
Louis! If you do not give me the house you promised, I shall return to England.
It is my pleasure you stay here. You stay here in palace. In palace.
No, Your Majesty.
I give you servants. I give you bigger room.
That is not the point, Your Majesty.
Why do you wish to leave these children, all of whom loving you so extraordinarily?
I do not wish to leave them. I love them too. Quite extraordinarily. But I cannot stay in a country where a promise has no meaning.
I will hear no more about this promise.
And a land where there is talk of honor and a wish for Siam to take her place among the modern nations of the world, where there is talk of changes, but where everything still remains according to the wishes of the king.
You will say no more!
I will say no more because I have no more to say. Come, Louis. Your Majesty is reading the Bible.
Mrs. Anna, I think your Moses should have been a fool.
Moses?
Moses. I think he should have been a fool. Here it stands written by him that the world was created in 6 days. You know, and I know, it took many ages to create the world. I think he should have been a fool to have written so. What is your opinion?
Your Majesty, the Bible was not written by men of science, but by men of faith. It was their explanation of the miracle of creation, which is the same miracle whether it took 6 days or many centuries.
You have come to apologize?
I'm sorry, Your Majesty, but
Good, you apologize.
Oh, Your Majesty,
I accept.
Your Majesty, nothing that has been said can alter the fact that in my country, when you make a promise, you must...
Silence! Tell me about President Lincoln of America. Shall Mr. Lincoln be winning this war? Is he fighting it at present?
No one knows, Your Majesty.
Does he have enough guns and elephants for transporting same?
I don't think they have elephants in America, Your Majesty.
No elephants? Then I shall send him one. Write letter to Mr. Lincoln.
Now.
Now. When else? Now is always best time.
Very well, Your Majesty.
Why do you stand over my head? I cannot stand all the time, and in this country no one's head shall be higher than the king's. From now on in present you shall so conduct yourself like all other subjects.
You mean on the floor? I'm sorry. I shall try very hard not to let my head be as high as Your Majesty's, but I simply cannot grovel on the floor. I couldn't possibly work that way, or think.
You are a very difficult woman, but you will observe care that head shall never be higher than mine. If I shall sit, you shall sit. If I shall kneel, you shall kneel, etc., etc., etc.
Very well, Your Majesty.
Is promise?
Is promise.
Good. It has occurred to us that if several pairs of young male elephants were turned loose in forests of America, after a while they would increase...
Your Majesty, just male elephants?
You put in details. Tonight my mind is on other matters, very important matters.
Anything you would like to discuss with me?
Why should I discuss important matters with woman?
Very well, Your Majesty. Then I will say good night.
Good night.
Your Majesty.
What?
I was wondering, when the boat arrived from Singapore yesterday...
Singapore, ha!
Was there any news from abroad?
News? Yes, there are news. They call me barbarian.
Who?
Certain parties who would use this as excuse to steal my country. Suppose you were Queen Victoria and someone told you King of Siam is barbarian. Do you believe?
Well, Your Majesty,
You will! You will believe I am barbarian because there is no one to speak otherwise.
But this is a lie!
It is a false lie.
Well, and what have you decided to do about it?
You guess.
Well, if someone was sending a big lie about me to England, I should do my best to send the truth to England. Is that what you have decided to do, Your Majesty?
Yes, that is what I have decided to do. But how? Guess how I should do this.
Well, my guess would be that when Sir Edward Ramsay arrives here...
Ramsay?
The British diplomat.
Ah, yes, on way from Singapore.
We wrote to him last month.
When he is here, I shall take opportunity of expressing my opinion of English thieves who wish to steal Siam. I shall show him who is barbarian. What is this face you put on?
Well, Your Majesty, my guess is that you will not fight with Sir Edward.
I will not?
No, Your Majesty. You will entertain him and his party in an especially grand manner. In this way, you will make them witnesses in your favour. They will return to England and report to the Queen that you are not a barbarian.
Naturally. This is what I shall have intended to do.
This is the only way to get the better of the British. Stand up to them. Put your best foot forward. That's an expression, Your Majesty. It means to dress up in your best clothes. Show them your most intelligent men, your most beautiful women. Edward admires beautiful women.
Edward? You call him this?
We are old friends. I knew him in Bombay before I was married.
Ah. Shall it be proper for the English dignitary to see my women with no shoes on their feet? Shall it be proper for them to put their best bare feet forward? No. Sir Ramsay will go back and tell Queen I am barbarian. Why do you not think of this?
We shall dress them up in European fashion.
You mean dress them in dresses?
How many women can I have sew for me?
All the women in the kingdom. How many dresses?
Well, that depends on how many ladies are chosen by Your Majesty.
You shall tell me which of my women are most like Europeans for dressing like same. Wake up, everybody, wives, etc., etc. I shall command Chinese artists to paint their faces very pale, and you shall educate them in European custom and manners for presentation.
I wonder how much time we shall have.
Sir Ramsay's gunboat last reported off Songkala. How long did he take depend on how many ports he called into. Let us say we have 1 week.
1 week? But, Your Majesty, I daren't think what... 1 week!
In this time whole world was created, Moses say. Are there any details I do not think of so far?
You must give them a fine dinner. A European dinner.
I was going to.
And a ball. With music.
Music? And dancing.
That's right! Dancing!
Why do you not think of dancing?
It was an inspired idea, Your Majesty.